What is the discipline dial, and how can it help you reach some of your fitness goals? In today's video, I'm going to talk about a personal fitness goal of mine that I've had for a long time, but just recently I've decided that I'm going to hit this goal within the next year or so. So I'm going to talk about what that goal is and how the discipline dial, connected with what we are talking about on this channel, the 3 pillars of biblical health, will actually help me get to that goal in the next few months. So I like basketball. I've always liked basketball. I used to shoot on a crate when I was a kid back in Nashville, because we didn't have a rim in our house, and going to the park was not always the best option. So I got to where I could have this milk crate that the bottom was cut out of it, and I nailed it to a tree. I had a piece of wood on there for a backboard, and I could dribble around in the backyard and shoot and hit shots in that crate. And obviously it's way more fun when you can get on an actual rim. But I've always liked basketball, and one of the most exciting plays in basketball is the dunk, right? Being able to dunk a basketball is something I've always wanted to do. Now, on shorter rims, sure, 9'6", 9'8", I'm pretty sure I've been able to dunk on 9'8". But the standard height of a basketball rim is 10 feet. Now, I'm 5 feet 8 inches tall with no shoes on, roughly 5'9" with shoes on. And so that's a pretty challenging thing to be able to jump up and dunk a basketball. Not to mention, I turned 40 years old last year. I'm a couple of weeks away from turning 41, and I haven't dunked a basketball on a standard 10-foot goal yet. But it's always been something I've wanted to do, and I have above average ability when it comes to jumping. I used to do triple jump and long jump and even some high jump in high school, and middle school a little bit as well. So I have a above average jumping ability, but I haven't just buckled down and figured out how I was going to do it until now. So I've talked about the fact that my background is mechanical engineering. So took plenty of physics. So when I think about the physics of jumping, it's actually pretty straightforward. If you think about force production, force is a ratio, is not a ratio, but it's the product of mass times acceleration is generally how it's presented in physics. And so if I want to produce the force that will allow me to jump up and dunk a basketball at 5 feet 9 with shoes on, what I'm going to have to do is reduce my body mass to make whatever force I can already exert that much more effective in getting me higher, right? So if I can exert a certain amount of force right now, but then I weigh less, that means I'll be able to get higher just by reducing my body weight. On the flip side of that, I also need to get stronger. So there's really 2 parts to this, maybe even a third part talking about technique of jumping, but I would put all of that under getting stronger. So there are 2 things that I've got to do. One is get leaner, and one is get stronger if I want to dunk a basketball. And here's the time limit that I'm putting on it. I'm about to turn 41 in a couple of weeks. I'm going to do whatever I can to dunk a basketball before my 42nd birthday. So I've got a year to do this. So I need to do 2 things. I need to get leaner and get stronger. Now, I don't want to spend 10 months getting leaner and then only have a couple of months to get stronger so that I could do that. We want to really spend the majority of our time getting stronger, but staying lean. How am I going to do that though? How am I going to get to the place where I get lean relatively quickly and then start getting stronger? That's where our 3 pillars come in, and that's where what I call the discipline dial comes in. So the 3 pillars of biblical health we talk about on this channel are fast weekly, eat biblically, and walk daily. And so if I want to get into better shape, I need to do those things. But often I don't tell you, okay, you need to fast this much. I just say weekly, Now that might be, in some ways, it might be doing that daily where maybe you just eat one meal a day. So in many ways, you're fasting like 24 hours every single day. And that's your fasting weekly, where you're basically doing it daily. For someone else, they might eat 3 meals a day, and then one day out of the week, they decide, I'm going to skip breakfast, and that's their version of fasting weekly. Same thing with eating biblically. What does that mean exactly? Well, it could mean that 85–90% of the time I'm eating biblically, and then sometimes I enjoy myself with something other than that. It could mean that. It could mean 100% compliance. I don't actually ever tell you what that is. The difference between those different versions of it is what I call the discipline dial. How disciplined am I going to be on this? So, am I going to fast 2 or 3 times a week where it's 36 to 48 hours? That means that discipline dial is turned way up. Am I eating biblically 95, 98, 100% of the time? That means that discipline dial is turned way up. What about walking daily? Am I walking daily, but I'm getting maybe 45 minutes a day in? For me, that's not very high in terms of my discipline dial. I like to get an hour-long walk at least every morning. And then I like to get another 45 minutes or so later on in the day. So for me, that's normal. But as I think about this goal that I have, I'm going to need to turn that dial up to where I'm probably getting 2 to 3 walks every single day. So not just every now and then I get 3 walks, but probably every day I need to be getting 3 walks, get out here and sweat, really turn up that dial. And so when it comes to getting leaner as part of this larger goal of jumping and dunking a basketball, it's going to require this getting leaner within the next 2 to 3 months so that I can have plenty of time to get stronger. It's going to require me turning up the discipline dial. And that may be the case for you as well. Now, here's something about the discipline dial that I also want to explain, is that whatever you're doing, you want to make sure you stay consistent. It is very easy for us to say, I'm going to be disciplined now, and really turn that discipline dial way up, and then you kind of yo-yo back and forth where you're really disciplined and then you just kind of get tired of it and then you are very undisciplined. We don't want to do that. So you never want to take the discipline dial, turn it way up to 100 or just way up, and then you end up getting tired of that and then being super undisciplined. We don't want to do that. So for me, as I plan to get leaner in the next couple of months and plan to do that relatively quickly, it's going to mean that I need to gradually turn that discipline dial up more and more so that I will get lean down into the 150s probably. I weigh in the mid 170s right now. I need to drop at least 20 pounds, maybe more than that. I'm gonna need to turn up that discipline dial to do that. And for you, you may have something where you need to turn the discipline dial up. Perhaps you have cancer, or you have Alzheimer's, or you have diabetes, or you have some of these chronic diseases, and you found out, hey, the way I take care of my body has a lot to do with this. If I'm fasting and I want to fast so that I can starve the cancer, hey, I might need to turn that up in terms of my fasting weekly. Not just that I skip a meal, but I might need to go an entire day when I'm not used to that. Let's turn that discipline dial up so that we can get some of the results that we're looking for. So for me, that's what I'm going to be doing. And I'm going to put more progress on the channel about me actually getting leaner in the way that is going to help me be able to jump higher and dunk a basketball. So that's the discipline dial. That connected with those 3 pillars of biblical health will help me with that. We'll talk some more in another video about the strength part of this. What does it mean to get stronger? You're still going to have that discipline dial turned up in a sense, but you probably won't have it turned up the same way for leanness that you will for strength. You'll probably turn it down a little bit. I'll probably allow more carbohydrates. I'll probably be less strict when it comes to carnivore, because having a little bit more carbohydrates helps me get in the gym and lift more. But again, we're doing all of these things, staying in those guidelines of making sure we are consistently fasting, eating biblically, and walking daily. That's it for today's video. Like the video, subscribe to the channel for more simple information about how to have better health from a biblical perspective?